Hi. I might start talking so much that you guys will get tired of listening to me. Right now, I feel like I could just stop recording start recording and not stop for hours. My heart just feels so full, and it's very strange, my friends, because I don't know what it's full with. I just know it's something that wants to come out. How's that for odd? I wonder if you have any corollaries in your life, um, because I just absolutely know we're all so totally special. We are going to be so amazed in not so many years from now, and it'll be fun too. We won't be counting it in years as we do now. You know, this Gregorian calendar, did you know that literally millions of people were murdered, were tortured and killed by the church to enforce the Gregorian calendar and to take away the native ways, the spiritual ways. And in their place, we got this thing that is purely mechanical, Newtonian, third rock from the sun kind of thing, you know, where there's just no depth to it. And when we look at the other ways of keeping time, well, they've been taken from us. How can we look at them? But we do have the Mayan calendar, the Aztec calendar, and thank goodness the native peoples around the world are now speaking, from Tibet to everywhere, the wisdom keepers. The official ones and others are speaking up and saying it has come time to share. You know, it wouldn't have done them much good at times during the last few hundred years to have come forward and shared. We weren't ready. I think things had to get really pretty good and broken before we stepped back from things and from the Western way of looking at things and doing things, and the arrogance of that. It's brought a lot to the world, but we've got to admit it's arrogant. And to saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe, just maybe, we don't know everything. Now that so much is crumbling everywhere, it's pulled us up short, and it's opened a breathing space into which the medicine people, the shamans, they have different names for them around the world, but the holy ones, you know, the keepers of the wisdom of the ancient knowledge, are coming forward and sharing their understanding and their vision of things. And I know there's probably a lot of deeper sharing that they really can't do because we don't have our cultures sufficiently in common. It's a fascinating thing just to do even just a superficial study, looking into at the very highest level of Native American languages. I think a lot of us know about the Native American code that was really their language that was used in World War II that just couldn't be broken. There are languages where they don't have verbs. We don't realize how much our calendar and our language structure our reality and our vision and the whole way we look at things. There's a really interesting book by, and I'll say it wrong, but Friedhof Capra, The Tao of Physics. And it's just the smallest bit technical. It's a bit of a challenge. If you've got a high IQ, you won't be challenged. Mine is moderately high, so I was challenged. But it's not that. It's the vision that he shares. And he takes you, if you want to see how there's no such thing as time and space, that it's really time-space. Um, and he has a deep understanding that he shares in this wonderful book of, I don't know if it's the fourth dimension. We'll get the right language for things when we've been more awakened, when our biology, our DNA structure has been healed and it's not junk DNA anymore, but it's functioning. It'll be easier to grasp things and to know what it is we've got our hands on. Right now, that's too challenging in a lot of ways. But Mr. Capra, or Dr. Capra, I don't know, in this book shows you how, with what's been discovered in science and in physics, and I guess in particle physics, I don't know, it's been a long time since I read it, but it changed me. It opened my understanding to things, and I think this was even before I had my English degree, but I've always been fascinated by language. And he shows us in this book how the very structure, just the basic parts and bits and pieces of the language, you know, nouns and verbs, subjects, objects, adjectives, how at the very most basic level, we were looking at things wrong. And the way we were looking at things, due to the way the language was structured, it could not contain this newer understanding of the way things work. And that it's always bugged me that we know so much more that is not being put into the school textbooks. And so the children are taught things that have been disproved. And we have new science, but it's not taught. And I was pretty much uniformly against that, and I still am. I think education is as big a racket as anything else. And there's a dumbing down that's at some way deep level is intentional that's being done. Not that the teachers in the schools are participating in any such thing. It's so much bigger than that, my friends. But anyway, this showed me how even if we wanted to, we would literally have to restructure the language, to restructure our thinking, to be able to take this in and talk about it in terms that would make sense. He showed you how if I take this crystal and I say, okay, I am holding this crystal out, let's say in the middle of the room here, and I'm doing that right now, that this literally is senseless. It doesn't make any sense because the crystal cannot be separated from the space that it's in and the time that, and I'm goofing this up, I promise. If you want a really wonderful, all right, intellectual adventure, the Tao of Physics, T-A-O, and his name is Capra, C-A-P-R-A, is a worthy read. And I know it's been published, you know, probably a couple decades ago now, but what you learn in it is still worthy. I don't care. So there. All right, so what's in here to share? Heck, I don't know. I'm changing as usual. I know you are too, and I take so much comfort in that we're all doing this together. This is such a great adventure, and it's exciting, you know, to think that, oh my gosh, we're these big, magnificent cosmic beings, and on some level, we know what our purpose is here, and yet it has to be hidden in order for us to take the steps and to do the dance in time space. And so we cannot know. I came on a video on the internet that was the Titanic's maiden voyage, I guess, was her only one. And it followed the captain around. He was doing a pre-flight. I was a jet aircraft mechanic. He was doing a pre-sailing inspection. And it went around and it caught the it was a huge floating vessel. I mean, it's hard to even call it a ship. It was so massive. And the various decks and levels, and you could see how clearly they were culturally and financially delineated. You know, only the very wealthy were on the very top deck where there was nothing above them but the sky, and the various people and some of the things that they were saying and they were doing, and it I'm still stunned by it when you think of those thousands of people, and they had to be from all classes, categories, and ranges of beings. Um, well, I mean, I guess they had to have some money in order to be able to make that trip, but spiritually, money has nothing to do with your spirituality. So if we just look at them from that level, I'm sure a lot of them were psychic or intuitive, um, and yet they were all, most of them, sailing to their deaths. And as you watch them, it's so poignant. And it makes you wonder, what did they know? What did they intuit? What did they suspect? And even why? I mean, it's like 9/11 in that nothing is accidental. A typo isn't accidental. You know, nothing is. And so these people volunteered for this. And I just know in my heart that there's a certain joy that goes along with it. There's a certain rightness to it. And when we're looking at it, it all depends on our perspective. Because when we're looking at it from the limitation of the 3D perspective, no matter what angle we take, we don't see enough of the picture to make the fullest sense of it. You know, I had such a hard time as a mom. I had my one daughter, and raising her took every ounce of spiritual, emotional, mental, and even physical strength that I had. And I'm greatly enriched by it. I like the person that I am now. And obviously, it took going through that to be here now, to get to where I am. But I assure you, had I had advanced knowing of what that was going to be like, oh, baby, I wouldn't have volunteered for that. It was too hard, you know? It was too challenging. And it's so funny to think about these things because, you know, we're hiding them from ourselves. And yes, it's a group plan to do this, and it's a part of the way things are here. But on other levels of our being, we know things. I mean, especially things about our own life. Um, Not that I can say I have personal experience of this remembrance, but remember now, near-death studies, NDEs, was my hobby for a good dozen years, and I read and I studied deeply into it.